everyone. I hope everybody, if you can see me, if you can hear me, let me know. Good evening. Good evening, Facebook. Good evening, ATP Instagram. Good evening, ATP Facebook page and Facebook group. Um, so if you are here, you can watch me. If you can see me, just let me know. Thank you. Okay, I guess somebody can see me on Instagram. Oh, yeah. Can see Facebook people. I'm not sure whether I'm live on Facebook yet. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to ATP Live. And feel free to share the video and invite your friends and family to join us. If you have any question, please drop your questions and I'll be taking them. All right. Yeah, you can see me Instagram. I'm not so sure whether Facebook people can see me. Maybe I should just share to the group. I hope I didn't omit the group when I was deciding where to go. Okay, so welcome. Yes, I'm live now. Why is it not showing? Oh, okay, yes, I can see myself now. All right, okay, lovely. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another fresh episode of ATP Live. So feel free to drop your questions on child health issues and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. Okay, so I'm just trying to see if I can pin this to the somebody. Okay, I need somebody to help me pin. I don't know why I can't always see the video itself, to pin it on the Facebook group. Okay, let me see whether I can see it now. I hope I didn't. Okay. Okay, if any of our moderator is on the group one, just try and help us pin it because I can't seem to be able to pin it myself. I don't know why it happens all the time. Okay, so let me go back to yeah, unfortunately my moderator for today have some technical connection difficulties and so I just have to go solo today. So I'll see how much I can do on my own. So thank you so much for joining me. Yes, I can see many of you already here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for those on the Facebook group, if you are one of our moderators, please help me to pin the group one. And let's see. Okay, let's see whether my moderator is going to talk. Hello, Felicia, can you talk now? Yeah. Can you talk? Just talk. Let me see whether we can hear you. There's something wrong with your audio. It's not connected. We can't hear you. All right. I guess I still have to go solo. Sorry about that. Okay. So Welcome to ATP Live. I'm Dr. Gbemisala Boyede. I'm a pediatrician, and I'm going to be answering any child health questions you have. I try to do it in 1 hour, so try and ask your questions early so that we can finish answering them early as well. And so I will move from Instagram to Facebook and YouTube as well. If you are watching me on YouTube, please ask your questions. If you're asking your question about your child, please tell me the age of your child. There's no way I will know the age of your child without you telling me. I don't have that power. And the answer to questions depend on the age of the child. If you want to ask about the weight of your child, or you're worried your child is not gaining weight, please tell me the current weight and, if possible, the birth weight as well, so that I have context. So try and provide as much information as you can, but don't tell me the whole life history of the child, because it will be too long for us to read. And try and just go straight to the current issue right now, not what has happened and has resolved. And no, let's just go straight, unless it has any link or bearing to the present. So I hope those rules will help us. Okay, so I think I will start from, I'm not sure I have any question on Instagram yet. So yeah, no question on Instagram yet. So I think I'll just go straight to Facebook, because Facebook people are always the ones that tend to ask lots and lots of questions. And I can see the first question. The first question I have is by Shobiye Olajumoke, and she's asking, my baby of 10 months. Don't worry, Instagram people, you can't see the question, but those on Facebook can see, but you can hear me, so you can just listen. She said, my baby of 10 months poo almost immediately after eating. Should I be worried? No, there's really no need to be worried, because there's what we call gastrocolic reflex. Don't mind the jargon. It's just basically when you eat, the body kind of send a message that causes the intestine to start making movements in preparation for the fact that the food coming into the mouth, into the stomach, is going to move further down. So what your baby pass is not the food the baby just ate. It is the stool that has been stored already, ready to be passed out. So so the eating of a new meal and that food gets into the stomach causes the stomach to stretch and initiate this gastrocolic reflex. So that is why even adults, you feel like sometimes going to the toilet after you finish eating. It's a natural, normal reflex. It's just that adults we're sometimes able to control it, but sometimes children are not able to regulate themselves. So there's really absolutely nothing wrong. And I know that some mothers always worry that, oh, it means that when baby eats and baby is stolen, that means what the food your baby just ate is what the baby is passing out. That's not true. The whole process of digestion, from food entering your mouth to it coming out in from your anus as stool, takes several hours. So it is not something that happens. So it is not that same food. That one is still being digested, being absorbed. So it is really nothing to worry about that. I hope that is helpful. Should be it. All right, thank you. Next person say, I want to know why some babies' nose are not dry. Having constant difficulties in breathing, sucking, she's on antibiotic. Kindly always include the age of your baby in every question. Number one, it is not every baby's nose that is not dry. Yes, some babies are prone to having what we call catarrh and cough or respiratory tract infections for several reasons. Some, it is allergy. So that is why some babies have what we call allergic rhinitis. So which means when they're exposed to something that they're allergic to, it could be like pollens, it could be dust, it could be anything in the hair, then they tend to sneeze a lot. It could be your perfume, it could be your smoke. It irritates them and they begin to sneeze and begin to have nasal discharge. Some babies are having this because they are being exposed to other people that have respiratory tract infections. So people that have, if you take your baby to a crèche, for example, and another child is coughing or sneezing, then your baby will be exposed. And by the time your baby is getting over and go back, another child is coughing, sneezing. So it becomes a vicious cycle. So those are the reasons why some babies are prone to having these respiratory tract infections. And what you need to do, number one, there are preventive measures. Number one, exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months and breastfeeding for as long as possible. helps to protect babies against respiratory tract infections. Two, making sure your babies are warm, it's really when the weather is cold and all that, it also be helpful. Three, avoiding crèches and daycare centers, because that is where most of them are exposed. Or make sure you keep your children away from people who have cold and catarrh so that they don't um, get exposed and tend to have these infections. It's helpful as well. So sometimes it's as good as keeping your baby at home with a nanny rather than taking to a crèche. Actually, if the crèche doesn't have a policy about any child with cough or cold should stay home. So these are some of the method by which you can reduce. And for children who have allergies, sometimes you just have to see the ENT doctors. Sometimes we have to give them what we call steroid nasal spray, so that whenever they are having episode, they use the spray during that period. We give them anti-allergy medications. That may also be helpful. So you didn't tell the age of your child, you didn't really specify. This is just a generic question. So the answer is also very generic. So I've not really seen what your own child should do, because you didn't really specify which one is in your own child. Okay, the next question is from another Facebook user. So if you are on Facebook group, you need to give StreamYard permission to see your name. If you don't do that, then your name is not going to show. It's only going to show as Facebook user. But if you give a permission, then anytime you're on Facebook group, your name will also show as well. So what are the causes of foaming stool in babies? So foam in the stool is just the hair. So if your baby is sick, sucking and also swallowing lots of hair, then when they pass through, the gas may also come with the stool, and it's not something to worry about. But the most important thing is to make sure that you avoid situations where the child is sucking in too much hair or too much gas. So things like sucking on dummies, things like sucking on empty bottles, or the child crying a lot before you start to breastfeed them. These are things that could make the babies to be prone to having gas being passed out in the stool. And sometimes it also make them to appear colicky, like they're always stretching and all that. So these are things that you really want to avoid. So make sure you are very alert to your baby skills, so you breastfeed them when immediately they start showing signs that they are hungry, and not necessarily when they start to cry, because that's the last of the cues. And then also don't give dummies, pacifiers, empty bottles, and all that. We don't appreciate that. That will reduce the frequency. All right. Nafisat is saying, Bukola, can I apply Mopidam cream on a baby head for rashes? I forgot to ask the doctor for the head parts. Now, you can't just apply any cream for any rashes, because you have not told me what rash it is. I don't even know what rash it is, and I've not seen the rash. So you can't just go apply any cream. This is something that we all need to know, because a lot of parents do this. So whenever you see rashes, you just go for whatever cream you have in your house or whatever cream you feel like buying in the store. Many of them, I'm not going to mention any particular names, but that is a very wrong approach. When you have a rash, you need to know what is causing the rash. It is what is causing the rash that will determine the treatment. So I know many of these people that sell products, they want to sell products. That is it. And when the process of marketing, they give the impression that this particular cream is like Bobo Niche, like Yoruba people will say, like it can cure anything, it can cure every rash. Let me see whether Felicia can talk. Can you talk now? Okay,
Yes, I can
I
hear
think we
you.
can hear you now. Can,
Oh,
can you
thank
talk
God.
louder?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better. We can hear you now. I don't know what you did now, but whatever is, yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you for coming back. All right, so let me just continue with the question I'm answering there. After that, you can read subsequent questions on Facebook. Okay,
Okay.
that would be easier for me, so I won't be the only one talking all day. All right, so going back to Nafisa's question, you need to know the cause of the rash to know the treatment for the rash. So don't just go using any form of products. In fact, don't use anything, because sometimes the products you are using may even worsen the rash. For example, if your child has a bacteria kind of skin infection, that is the rash the baby have, and you go use steroids on that, you are going to worsen it. So that is why you don't just use any products on your baby's skin. So since you forgot, you may have to go back to the doctor. Maybe if the doctor has seen it, I don't know, maybe the doctor didn't say it. If the doctor has seen it, the doctor may know what to tell you to buy. Or if the doctor has not seen it, then you have to still take baby back. Because I also can't see it, so I can't advise. So it's best to do that. Don't just do, most of those creams are antibiotics as well. It's just that they are in cream form. So what you mentioned, that every other product that most people are using, their product, they are drugs, they are medication. So you can't just use them without prescription. So that's what I will advise that you do. So I think I have just one question on Instagram, so I can quickly take it before we go to the next one. So Adefi Sola is saying, my baby of 13 months is refusing to food. Anytime she starts she's eating, she used to do that, and after like a week, we start eating again. But this is going for up to 2 weeks. So yeah, sometimes baby could be fussy when they are teething because it's bone cutting through flesh, so they kind of feel sensitive and they don't want to. But for a 1 year old, if she's going to 2 weeks, then you should be thinking of, is there any other thing going on? This may be because if you start to eat may also be a sign of a child who is ill, of an illness. So it is not every time that it's teething. So I won't want you to make assumption that the child who is refusing to eat is because of teething. So it's best if you see a doctor. Actually, if the child also has other symptoms like fever or any other, symptoms, it's best if you see a doctor, and then um, they can evaluate the child, and then you'll be able to tell you what is wrong. And then if there's any need for the child to be treated, it should be treated. So because the child has had that similar experience when the child was having teething episode, does not mean it's always the same thing this time around. So it's best to get a doctor to evaluate to be sure first. So I think that's what I will recommend. Okay. All right. So let's go back to Facebook. Felicia, can you read that for us? Thank you. Can you see the question?
Okay, hello, ma. Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you read the
Yes.
question?
Ifeoluwa Aluko is saying, my boy of 3 years, 4 months is having temperature on his head and other parts of the body apart from the leg. I'm currently using malaria drug and baby. Can both the temperature goes down and come back again? Okay. Should I wait till he complete the drugs or what should I do? Okay, I think she's saying that. Did you get the question, ma? Do I need to go over it?
Yes, we can get the question. Thank you. So, number one, every fever is not caused by malaria. I know that many Nigerians believe that once they have fever, they should just go and buy malaria. In fact, many people think when you say you have fever, they actually think it's the same thing as saying you have malaria. That's a very wrong assumption. Malaria, oh, sorry, I think I'm on the wrong platform for my um I'm on the wrong platform for my Instagram. I'm supposed to be on Ask the Pediatrician, but I'm on my own platform. No wonder people are looking for me. Sorry for that. Let me just go live from Ask the Pediatrician now. Okay. Just 1 minute. I'll be ready. Uh, okay, sorry, I went live on the wrong platform. Apologies for that. Okay, so if you're low while is saying if your baby has fever, don't just assume it's malaria. It may just be something else. So you didn't tell me that you took the child to the hospital or anything. So you just assume this fever is due to malaria and you start treating for malaria. That is actually wrong. So what you need to do now is to take the child to the hospital and let the child be evaluated. But for check the temperature. Is the temperature, what is it? Did you measure with a thermometer? So you need to measure it with a thermometer first to know, because I didn't hear you say that. You just say the head is hot. So you need to check the temperature with the thermometer. I always say every mother should have a digital thermometer. So digital thermometer, you just put it in and you can read it immediately, whether it's 37.5, 37.8, or 38 or 39. So anything above 37.5 is high. And for that, you need to give um anti-malaria. So I mean, you need to know why the child is, you can give paracetamol, and then you need to know why the child is having fever, but don't assume it's malaria. So especially now that you still feel malaria and the child is not better, it's also a sign that maybe it's not malaria. So it's best to go to the hospital and let the doctor tell you the cause of the um fever and let them treat it properly. All right. I hope that helps. Sorry for Instagram people. I was on the wrong platform. I was on my own personal page instead of Ask Federation page. I didn't realize on time until I saw that. Okay. It's just now. So apologies if you've mixed part of the program, but you can still join us now. So if you have questions, please drop your questions and we'll try and answer them. And sorry for starting 20 minutes behind time. Sorry about that for Instagram people. Okay, so we'll continue while we're waiting for Instagram people to ask their
All right, ma.
questions. Yeah, go on, Felicia.
Okay. So another question from Temitayo Olushola. She says, please differentiate between a normal cough and asthmatic cough.
There's no cough is cough. There's no way you can differentiate normal cough. Like I don't even know what is a normal cough. I think when you cough, the question is why are you coughing? So there's no particular different kind of cough. I hope that makes sense. So usually everybody coughs because cough is a normal and a natural reflex for us to clear our airway. So, but if you keep coughing persistently, then that's when people start to count when you are coughing, then that is when cough is an issue. So now it could be due to infection, it could be due to other things. So to know why you have, if it's an asthma kind of cough, number one, you will cough a lot. Two, it tends to be recurrent. And apart from that, people who cough from asthma tend to also wheeze. So they have this wheezing sound. I don't know whether you will be, whether I can imitate it, but you know, as if they will be struggling to breathe and you'll be hearing sound. If you listen to the chest well, or even without listening, some you just hear them making that wheezing sound, then that is when we say it's most likely due to asthma. And of course, usually when we give them what we call bronchodilators, things like Ventolin and the rest, then they feel better. So that is how we know asthma cough. And it tends to be a recurrent thing. You know, it's not just once, it happens again. And it can be, there may be some triggers that tends to, bring out asthma kind of cough. So that is how we say somebody has asthma. So you cannot just say from the cough alone whether it's asthma or not. It has to be the other issues. So I hope that is helpful. All right, let's move on.
Okay. So another user says, I wanted to give my 10 weeks old baby paracetamol syrup yesterday, but I mistakenly gave her drops, 2 mils. All of a sudden, she started crying uncontrollably. Yes, today she went for vaccination and I gave her 1 mil of PCM drops, but she's running temperature and not sucking like before. Her weight is 5.3 kg.
I'm not really sure I understand your question. Number one, the first question I want to ask you is why did you need to give paracetamol on day one, on the first day? Why do you want to give paracetamol yesterday? Because you didn't say that. I didn't hear you say your baby is having fever. And sorry, my moderator has disappeared. I didn't hear you say your baby is having fever or anything, but you just gave paracetamol. Why? And then you think your baby crying means it's because of the paracetamol. I don't see the connection between baby crying and paracetamol. So it is not because you gave 2 mils of paracetamol drops that make your baby to start crying. I don't think so. So I don't understand that question. So but coming to today, because your baby, you've gone for immunization, and because you've gone for immunization now, your baby is having fever. That is normal side effects of the immunization we give at 10 weeks, which is the Penta. So if your baby is having fever from Pensa, you need to give paracetamol. And the dose of paracetamol you need to give is not 1 ml. If your baby is 5 kilos, usually we'll give about 15 milligram per kilos, so which is about 90 milligram. So give the normal paracetamol syrup, and the normal paracetamol syrup, 90 milligram is about, it's about 2.5 mils, because 120 milligram is in 5 mils. So I guess 60 milligram is 2.5 mils. So okay, maybe about 3 mils. So you can give about 3 mils of paracetamol. So, and you can give it every 6 hours. So you give it every 6 hours and your baby will be fine. And remember that baby who just had immunization is fussy. The immunization site is painful. So be very careful the way you handle the baby. So don't be touching the legs anyhow or handling the baby anyhow. Be very gentle. You can apply ice pack to the immunization site and give that 3 mils of paracetamol every 6 hours. And your baby will be fine. Your baby will suck later. Don't worry. He just took the immunization today. So baby is just being cranky and all that, which is natural after an immunization process, but it's nothing to worry about. But don't give your baby paracetamol when there's no need. Babies are not, they are not having pains or anything. I don't know why some people always say, oh, maybe the baby's in pain. Let me just be giving them paracetamol. No, don't do that. The baby is having fever, yes, give paracetamol. Baby is not having fever, no need to give paracetamol. And this paracetamol is just for the first 2, max 3 days. Most of the fever would have resolved. Once the fever stops, you don't need to keep giving paracetamol. Please know that paracetamol is not like a safe drug or anything. There's no drug that is safe. Depend on the dose. So if you give too much of paracetamol, you can damage your baby's liver. So that is why you really need to be aware of that. So that is why we don't want you to give him medication when there's no reason for doing that, because I still don't get why you gave paracetamol yesterday. It is not clear from your question. All right, so let's move on.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, we've answered the lesson. The lesson me gift Modupe says a baby is 2 years, 7 months old. She wants to know if the vitamin C 1000 milligrams is
That's too
okay.
much. That's too much for a 2 year old. Why do you want to give vitamin C to 1,000 milligram? That's an adult dose. Please give the baby vitamin C syrup. Usually it should not be more than 50 milligram, max 100 milligram. Even adults, most of the time, don't take more than 100 milligram. Did the doctor prescribe vitamin C 1,000 for your baby? Let me know, because sometimes if your baby has some maybe hypocalcemia or for some reason, but even then 1,000 is a lot. So you need to really specify why you want to give 1,000 milligram of vitamin C. There is really no need for that. So just give, if you must give vitamin C, give the appropriate dose, no more than 50 milligram. And your baby is better off taking fruits and vegetables. Those are the best source of vitamin C rather than giving too much of the tablet. It has its own side effects. I know people always think that some drugs, even vitamin C, yes, most of the time you will wee it out in the urine, but you're putting the liver, the kidneys also through a lot of unnecessary work, removing all those extra drugs. So there's really no need to do that. So unless it's something like ENT doctor prescribed for you for a particular reason, but otherwise, please don't do that. Okay. All right. Let me just take this person on Instagram. So if they tend to accumulate and I forget. All right. Instagram people are here now. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, scrolling through my Instagram is always challenging. Um, Okay, Omolara is asking, my baby of 6 months, 2 weeks on complementary feeding does not like taking formula. What can I feed consistently to make her gain more weight? Your baby is just 6 weeks, 6 months, so you should be breastfeeding more rather than giving formula. You don't even need to give formula. So just breastfeed. Formula is just milk. Formula feeding is not complementary feeding. Your questions is actually telling me there's a lot of lack of information or misinformation about what complementary feeding is. So please, you will need to go to our Facebook group, because that's a whole topic on its own, and go to our guide section and watch the videos on infant feeding. There's a whole lot of videos on what to give, how often to give it, and all that. You will not see formula mentioned in all the food that you need to give your baby. Your baby just needs to keep breastfeeding. what you need to give is all the food, and all the food like your cereals, your fruits, your vegetables, even tubers like potato, like yam, like your rice, and all those kind of things. Those are the things your baby needs to eat. Food that you can make from your own kitchen. You don't need to buy formula. You don't need to give your baby formula to gain weight. Your baby needs to eat real food, and that is it. The baby need milk, but you can give breast milk. And that's why we say exclusive breast for the first 6 months, but you keep breastfeeding up to 2 years. So when you start complementary feeding, the goal is not to replace breast milk with formula. No. The goal is not to stop breastfeeding. No. The goal is not to reduce breastfeeding. No. The goal is to keep breastfeeding as much as you've been doing before while you are adding other things to it, which is other food. So things like your porridge, your cereals, tuber, veggies, fruits, and all that. Those are things you need to give. And the quantity you need to give to a 6 month old is really small. For a 6 month old, they just need to eat twice of those complementary feeding. The rest of it, the 80% of their meals is still going to be your breast milk. So, Omalara, I really, really think because this is where we start having difficulties with what's it called? We start having difficulties with complementary feeding because parents don't even know what's how to go about it, and then we start having difficulties. I'm happy you asked this question because maybe it's just 6 months, 2 weeks, which means you just started 2 weeks ago, so you have enough time to. So I would just say, just take a break, go read and learn about complementary feeding. We have a lot of videos on our Facebook group. If you scroll down even through our Instagram, IGTV, and on our Instagram page, you see a lot of information about complementary feeding. If you know all that, if you have the right information, you find complementary feeding very easy to do. All right, so I hope that is helpful. And then Ire,
Yeah.
Ire, Irepitadiana, I hope I didn't murder that name. Please forgive me. He said, my 2-year-old toddler is having constant running nose for some time now. We have seen different doctors, they prescribe different antibiotics, and we're still having running nose. Okay, so I don't know whether you were not here because I was on the other Instagram channel. That was the very first question I answered about running nose, and because a mother has asked why some babies having running nose. So for somebody like your child who has seen several doctors and is still having running nose, it's most likely allergic rhinitis. It's most likely something allergic condition. So at this point, it's best if you see a specialist, usually the ENT doctors. They are the ones that take care of that. Number one, you need to be sure that your 2-year-old has not stuck anything in the nose, because this is something parents often forget. And sometimes children put things up in their nose and you don't know, and the baby will keep having running nose forever, and all your antibodies will keep not make any difference. So that's the first thing. Number two, also to exclude allergic rhinitis, and there are drugs that the ENT doctors could give. And there are also, if you know there are triggers, then we need to also make sure that we avoid those triggers. So the best person to see now will be your ENT doctor, so that they can do examination of the nose, and also be able to give you appropriate support. I hope that is helpful. Final
Okay.
Garrett is saying, please, should I continue cleaning the mouth of my 10-month-old baby with 10 warm clothes? Um, and when can I introduce baby brush? He has 3 teeth now. Thank you so much for that question. Also, baby, bring out the very first tooth, you should start using brush. So you use cloth and water from bath, but immediately the baby cuts the first tooth, you should change to toothbrush and toothpaste. So there are soft toothbrush, some of them that like finger, that you can put your finger in and help your baby to brush their teeth. You should use fluoride containing toothpaste as well. It's a very tiny paste. It's what we call a grain of rice. You know your rice, that is the size of the toothpaste that you should use. Forget all those TV adverts where people will splash toothpaste from the beginning of the brush to the hand and even give it a cough upwards. That is wrong. You're supposed to use only a very tiny piece of tooth paste. And babies don't sometimes spit it out, they swallow it. So that's very important. That's why you should make sure you use a grain size for children below 3 years. And when they become over 3 years, you can use what we call pea size or like a granite size or a bean size, something like that, to form of toothpaste. But it must be something that contains fluoride, and it has to be like the one for the milk taste, because there's an amount of fluoride that's also for babies. But if you go to the shops, you'll be able to see the different types. So please, that is what you really need to do. I hope that is helpful. So you don't need to use clothes anymore. You should use toothbrush now. Okay, I think we should go back to Facebook. I'll come back because I can see the Instagram questions seem to be. I thought I'm just going to answer the last one and I will go, and then the next question, many people are coming back again. Okay, let's go
Okay.
on. Okay,
So,
yeah.
yes, ma'am. The next question. My baby of 8 weeks head is peeling. What can I apply?
So,
How
you
many
didn't
times?
Bukola's question, Nafisa. Okay, so Nafisa said your doctor saw a rash on your baby's body and prescribed a cream, but there's also the same rash on the head. If it's the same rash, I think so. If it's the same rash, then you can use it. If the rash on the skin is the same as the rash on the head, I guess that's why the doctor didn't bother telling you, because you should apply it on the same side. But if you think there are different types, then that's when you need to go back to see the doctor. I hope, yeah, she's just clarifying a question that I answered
Yeah.
previously. Okay, go on.
Okay, so this mother is saying that our 8 weeks baby's head is peeling. She wants to know what she can apply and how many times she should wash her baby's head with soap in a week.
Okay, so if it is the scalp that is peeling, the way you describe it, I know you are describing like a mom, but I'm suspecting you are describing what look like what we call cradle cap. Is it like dandruff in the hair, that kind of thing? If that's the case, that means your baby has cradle cap. So what you need to do is to use hair shampoo. See, that's the problem. You're not supposed to use soap to wash your baby's hair, because the soap kind of I don't know how to describe it, but it's not the appropriate thing. Even you yourself, you don't use soap to wash your hair, you use your hair shampoo. So the same thing for the babies. So, but you should have to buy the baby hair shampoo. So if you use baby hair shampoo and you wash it every day, it's every day. So each time you want to have a bath for your baby, you use the shampoo to wash the hair, not the bath soap that you use to bath them. Please, it's important. So, and then for babies that have these cradle cap or the like dandruff in the hair, newborn babies, you can therefore put oil in their hair in the night time. So in the night time, you can use your olive oil and just put it in the hair. The advantage of that is that it's soaking all those the dandruff at that cradle cap part. Then when you now wash the hair in the morning with your baby shampoo, hair shampoo, those things will fall out. And then what you now do is to comb the hair softly. You comb it, and then all those flakes, you can comb it out of the hair. So that is what you need to do. And by the time you do it for 1 week or two, most of them will be gone completely. So that will work for most babies. But some people, they have the very severe type that, very thick something on the baby's hair. And in that case, you need to see us, the pediatrician, because we can recommend maybe things like antifungal hair shampoo.
Yeah.
It's a drug. So because of that, it has to be prescribed by a pediatrician for your baby. And so but usually what I just described will work for maybe 99% of babies. Just make sure you use oil in the night, then use baby hair shampoo in the morning and comb it out. And you don't need to be pouring too much oil on baby's hair. One or two drops of oil in the morning is fine. You don't need to keep putting oil every minute, for the rest of the day. So I hope that is helpful. All right. Okay, let's
Okay.
move on.
Yes. She says, "Good evening, doctor. That's Akinoye Oluwatoyin.
Good
Please, can
evening.
I use the same warm expeller I used 6 months ago now? I still
Hmm.
have the Zoloft I used for him at 1 year and is 18 months. She wants to know if she can use the warm expeller she used when it was a year. Now
Well,
that is
I
yeah,
understand the question. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Because I think the pharmacist want you to discard medication after 2 weeks. You're supposed to throw them. You're supposed to trash them. I don't think so. I'm not so sure whether it's that appropriate. So what I recommend is read the instructions in the leaflets. the instruct every leaflet will always tell you how long you should keep a medication once it has been opened. Most of them will say after 7 days straight away. It doesn't matter. You don't always have to finish medication. That's another issue. People always think that once you open a medication, you must
To
finish
finish.
it. No, you don't. So if you open paracetamol, you maybe use it during immunization 2 3 days, it has finished, and your baby for goodness sake did not have any fever again for the next 2 weeks, 1 month. Please, that paracetamol should be trashed. You shouldn't keep it until whichever year your baby can. I know it's hard for us because of the cost and all that, but I think the pharmacists want us to it's about safety. It's about if you leave something for too long, bacteria germs, it could start multiplying inside. So at the end of the day, when you're giving it to your baby, you may actually be giving your baby a bacteria culture. So read, but I would just, because I'm not very particular about this particular medication, so I just want to hear on the side of caution by saying, what does the leaflet recommend? They will always say in every medication there's a portion called storage. So go to the storage section in that leaflet, and they will tell you store as room temperature, store as the temperature of 25 degrees. You discard after 7 days, discard after 1 week or 2 weeks. They always write it there. So go and read it. That is why it's better you buy tablets. If you buy tablet you can keep until
Long.
whichever day you need it, because nothing will happen to a tablet because you have not opened it. So if you buy tablet, it's easier. So, but syrup, once you open them, you have to discard them. I think the maximum is 2 weeks for most liquids. But if you buy tablets, those ones, as long as it's still in the foil, you can keep it for whichever year. As long as it has not expired, you can use it anytime. So if you don't want to be trashing your syrup, maybe you should be going for tablets. That would be better. All right. So sorry, Akinoye, I think she just buy a new one. All right, let's go
Okay.
on.
Yes, ma. The next question. My baby of 11 weeks bloats a lot, meaning gas a lot. Hope there is no problem with her stomach and she hardly sleeps and only suck throughout the night. Bloating,
There's no
gassing.
There's no
Please help.
problem with that. And there's no problem with that. It's because baby is passing in, the baby is sucking gas and is passing out gas. That's it. So what you need to do, I've answered this question so at the beginning, is to make sure your baby is not sucking in too much gas. Don't wait until your baby is crying. When baby are crying, they are sucking air. They are sucking in a lot of air. Their tummy will be full of air and they have to pass out all those gas. So avoid your baby crying too much before you give them food. Avoid baby sucking on um pacifiers or dummies, because most of those things there's nothing they're sucking in there, it's just hair. And avoid sucking
Yeah.
bottles as well, especially when the bottle has emptied. What is left is hair and baby just keeps sucking it in. So if you of course you can't reduce all the baby sucking in hair completely. I mean it's almost impossible, but you can reduce it to a significant extent. So it's not a problem, and there's nothing wrong with your baby not sleeping at night. That's natural. Babies sometimes sleep during the day and then they are awake at night. So after a while, they will change again. So just be patient. The baby will change again. And after a while, they start sleeping more at night and less during the day. So, and there's nothing wrong with baby sucking all night. But you don't have to make baby suck all night, because that sucking is not really like they are hungry. It is just your breath is more like a comfort, um like a pacifier as well. So if you know your baby is fully sucked and it's okay, just remove the breath from the mouth. And even though the baby may cry and all that, baby just want to be sure you are not running away. So you just pet them and let them sleep again without necessarily having to have something in their mouth. After a while, they also get the message that okay, the breast is not running away. Just be patient. When you wake up again, the breast will still be there. So I guess that is up for yeah.
Yes. So Akinoye Oluwatoyin Lautan wants to know, is colic feeling what colic is like in a newborn,
Mm.
and if it's possible for a month-old baby to turn from back to side.
Okay, so colleague, you need to read about colleague on our website, on our Facebook group. But colleague basically is when babies cry for no apparent reasons. They just cry and cry. They are fed. They are not wet. They are not hot. They are not hungry, but they're just crying, and there's nothing you can do until they stop crying. They will stop their crying. So it's something babies pass through. But usually, most of them by the age of 3 months, they stop. There are a lot of theories. Some believe it's because of gas, because sometimes you also notice at that same time too, they tend to have this a lot of gas, and some of them when they pass out the gas, it's as if they will now feel comfortable and all that. So that's why sometimes we use things like Infacor, which helps them to pass the gas more easily, and less like some of them will be surprised when they pass the gas suddenly like that. So Infacor kind of help them pass the gas more gently. Sometimes that doesn't even work for some babies. Some babies maybe loud, you use all these what we call white noises, like the noise of the fan or the noise of your washing machine. Those kind of things may help. Some babies it is when you dance around. That's why you see all our mothers, they're always carrying baby at the back and dancing, and then that sometimes helps some babies. Some babies you put them on the rocker and then just rock them. It's just a passing phase. The good news is that just hanging there, it will stop. Then the second question about babies back, turning from back lying to side. Babies can move, baby can wriggle, people can roll. So there's nothing baby can do all that. But what we recommend is that your baby should always go to the back for sleep. So if your baby turn, put them back to sleep and avoid excessive bedding. Some of you put too much bed sheets, and so these days you should use what we call fitted sheets. The fitted sheets are sheets that fit into the baby foam, so that there's no excessive sheets, because baby can they can cover their nose, and they can die from what we call sudden infant death syndrome. So you need to avoid that, and that is also why baby should sleep on the back. So back to sleep is what is recommended. All right. We can't see you anymore, Felicia. You are muted, and you're okay. So can you go on to the next question? Okay, let me just go to Instagram quickly and come back.
Okay.
Okay, Jamila is saying my baby of 3 months reacted to Septrin. Oh my goodness, he has rashes, the cold, and catarrhs persists. Who is recommending this drug for your baby, Jamila? Please, this is why we say don't self-medicate. So you are giving Septrin, you are giving Neophylline, don't do that. You must always see a doctor before you give any of this medication. Number one, most of us don't recommend cough syrup for babies at all, not even below 1 year, nothing. So please don't give your baby any of those drugs. Stop it and stop the Septrin. And please let everybody know that your baby reacts to Septrin. So they will never give your baby any sulfur containing drug. So it's not only Septrin, any sulfonamides, any drugs that contain sulfur should not be given to your baby ever again, because the next reaction may be more deadly. So please, let's avoid it, and let's avoid self-medication at all. So your baby is having cough, your baby is having rashes. If the rashes are due to the Septrin, you need to go to the hospital, because we need to look at it, because some babies have what we call Steven Johnson syndrome, like this, as if the baby is burnt, and that's serious. It's very serious. But if it's not related, because I'm not so sure, because you may just assume, if it's not related, then you need to make sure the doctor treats whatever rashes the baby have. But please don't do self-medication. Don't give panda code. Don't give. The only thing I can think you're able to give is vitamin C. But the question I want to ask is, why should we be having the cough and the catarrh in the first place? Most of them are viruses, and the way to prevent them, number one, exclusive breastfeeding. If you are not exclusive breastfeeding your baby, you should be doing that. It protects your baby from all these infections. Two, some babies get it from people who have colds and coughs. So if you have people in the house who have cough, who are cold, keep them away from the baby, or let them put on masks. Even if it is you should wear masks when you are breastfeeding and all that, and wash hands. Keep the baby warm. That's all your baby needs. Most viral infections will run their course. You don't need to give antibiotics for cough and catarrh. It's a virus. Most of the time, they don't need any drugs, because there's no drug for it. So giving drugs, number one, it can cause, like what has happened to your baby now, like baby can react or have side effects that you don't want. So there's really no need for any antibiotics in viral infections. If your baby is having fast breathing, if your baby is having difficulty with breathing, if your baby is having fever, then you must go to the hospital, because the baby may have pneumonia, and that is where we need to treat the baby properly. But otherwise, if it's just cough and no fever, no fast breathing, no difficulty with breathing, baby does not need any antibiotics. So please don't give, and don't stop the cough syrup as well, or whatever new feeling you're giving. Then Shanala is saying that baby is 1 year, 10 months, and she's having bad breath. I brush her teeth morning and night, but it doesn't help. Yes, because bad breath is not always about oral hygiene. There are many reasons why a baby can have what we call halitosis. That is what is called bad breath. It could be even due to any infection in the throat, like babies who have tonsillitis, baby who have adenoid enlargement, or other infections in the head and neck area can give you bad breath. So everything is not brushing teeth. So what you need to do is to take baby to the hospital. You can either see a pediatrician or a dentist or ENT. Any of us are able to see how. I don't know. Maybe you should see the dentist first because they can just have a look, exclude their home parts. If they think that it's not something on their own part, then a pediatrician or ENT doctor can look. It's really the throat. So we need to look into the throat to make sure there is no maybe tonsillitis, infection, or infection. Sometimes it could be gum abscess. Oh, there's anything around the head and neck can give a bad odor to the breast, and that is what we need to treat, not the brushing. We need to treat what is causing the bad breath itself. I hope that is helpful. I guess that is all for Instagram. Okay, no, okay, no. Yeah, okay. Amalara is saying, can the mother deworm herself? Well, you can deworm yourself if you think you want to. There's no problem. Uh, oh, Garrett say your network messed up. Okay, let me look at your question again. I can't even remember your question now. Okay, you are the one that say okay whether you can use toothbrush. Your baby is not having teeth. Yes, if your baby is having teeth, then you start using toothbrush and toothpaste. But it has to be age appropriate toothbrush, age appropriate toothpaste, and the right size, which is a grain of rice. Okay, but you can wash it again. And then Garrett also is asking the second question. My baby has had these rashes for weeks. And at first, when it came out, I used pseudo cream and it's almost clear. So I saw the rashes has come out again. I can't give advice about rashes without seeing the rashes. One. Two, you didn't tell me where the rashes are. Three, we didn't know what kind of rashes they have. So it's a little bit difficult to answer the question. But you suggest that pseudo cream worked for it. That's interesting. The only rashes I know pseudo cream works for is nappy rashes. So if it is, unless it's some rashes that will clear on its own, whether you use anything or not as well. So it may not necessarily. So it's the best option is to see a doctor, or if you post on our Facebook group, you can post a picture and then we can look at it and advise you further. But rashes going for weeks, then it's best to see a doctor for proper evaluation. Yeah. Okay, so pseudo cream is not a treatment for rashes. Pseudo cream is just zinc oxide and a few things, and it's mainly to prevent nappy rashes, and you can use it for long. You can use it in, usually people use it for nappy rashes. I mean, to prevent nappy rashes in diaper area, and it's okay to use it. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's a safe. It's not medication. It's a safe cream to use in the diaper area, especially to prevent nappy rashes and all that. So it is safe to use it if that's your main concern. But I'm not so sure where the rashes are. Okay, then shop smart. EBF done and dusted. Hey, well done. But eating as the struggle, even water, I really don't know why. Okay, is it baby that is struggling with eating, or is it you? Uh, or is there a particular food I'm meant to introduce? Okay, so I guess you're just joining us because I've answered this question. Number one, you really need to understand complementary feeding. I have a feeling that many people struggle with complementary feeding because they don't understand complementary feeding, and I guess maybe you are in that position now. Because when your baby is when you say you've done EBF and you're now going to complementary feeding, you're supposed to keep breastfeeding. You're not supposed to stop. So keep breastfeeding your baby just like you were doing um during the EBF as well. Now, what you now need to do is to add other food. And when you're adding other food, you start with semi-solid like cereals, and it has to be the right quantity. Usually, like for the very first day you're going to give, you should just make it 1 or 3 spoons. That is it. I mean, that's all you need to give. But many people always think your baby should take the same volume they take as breast milk is what they need to take as cereal. No, that's not true. So usually when the first time is 1 or 3 spoons, and then you gradually build it up. And the very first 6 months, in the 6 months, so they only need to take that twice a day. Most of the rest of the food is still going to be breast milk. So some also think, oh, because baby is now on complementary feeding, maybe she should take complementary feeding 4, 5, 6 times a day. That's also not true. The baby just needs to take complementary feeding once or twice in a day. That's all. When you just start, and it's usually small quantity, and then you gradually build it up. So if you go to our Facebook group, we have a guide section, and if you go to guide section, guide 2 is about complementary feeding. We have very short, lovely videos that talks about what to give for the 6 months old, what to give at 9 months, what to give at 2 years old, and how what kind of food, how often you should give it, what quantity you should give, what not to give. So it will be very helpful. And if you look, we also have a lot of tips, and I think we have a lot of pictures of those tips in our Instagram page. If you just go through all of them, they'll be very helpful. So if you have this right information about complement feeding, you will just be you will not have any difficulty with it at all. So you are just starting 3 days ago, so it's too early to even start to complain, because literally you just started complementary feeding. So it's too early to start saying maybe it's not it's a hard work, or no, it's not. You just need to know what to do. What you're missing it more is some more of the breast milk, while you are gradually introducing the complementary feeds. I hope that is helpful. Okay, Gareth says each rashes on the back. I always don't parents always say things that eat rashes and all that. It may not necessarily be true. So it is best if we say it and as well. So if it's eat rashes, why is baby having eat rashes? So that's what you need to deal with. Keep the baby cool. Don't overdress the baby. Eat rashes will go on its own. If your baby is cool and your baby is not overdressed, especially when the weather is hot, then the baby will be fine. So most time eat rashes don't really need anything. Sometimes you can use eat rashes powder and they should go. But usually they will not be there for weeks. So that's why I always don't, unless I see, I won't want to say it is eat rashes and all that. Yes, I think short smart. I've answered your question when I was answering Gareth's question. Also, we have the first tooth. You should start using toothbrush and toothpaste. Yes, and it bites a lot. Yes, sorry about that. Sometimes it bites when they are sucking, and sometimes they bite not because they want to hurt you, but they feel that irritation when the teeth are coming out, and so it makes them feel like biting something. So what you need to do is to stop. When baby bites, you just stop a little bit and let baby calm down, and then you can resume breastfeeding. Usually they will not bite you again. And in between breastfeeding, you can give them teethers. These are like soft toys. Make sure you wash and sterilize them that the baby can bite on, and rather than biting on your breast. So, but usually it's not going to continue for long. Sorry about that. I guess that's all on okay, somebody is saying, how long can I keep, that's Tessie is saying, how long can I keep formula, how long can I keep formula stay? Okay, I guess you want to say, how long can your formula be in the bottle before discarding it? Number one, we don't even recommend you feed formula. We also don't recommend bottle feeding. I know it's hard, but some others still have to do it anyway. So, but if you are doing formula feeding and you are doing bottle feeding, one, you need to prepare it just before you are ready to feed the baby. Two, you need to discard it immediately after feeding, so you don't keep. So what's the best option for you is to make the quantity the baby is gonna finish. It's better that way. So if your baby is already taking, so what people always do is that just make a little bit just above what your baby was finishing last. So for example, your baby is taking 60 and finishing 60. The next time, if you want to test whether your baby is ready for the next level, you can make the next one maybe 80 or 90. So that way, if your baby doesn't finish it, then you know, okay, I will just keep at 90. But whatever is left, you must be discarded. You don't keep, you don't store, because that is the reason why babies on bottle feeding are prone to having diarrhea. And because when you keep, bacteria is already enter. So the longer it stays, the longer the bacteria multiplies in a very rich culture medium of milk. And when you warm it the next time and give it to your baby, you have just fed your baby a big culture of bacteria, and baby is going to have diarrhea and vomiting and very ill. So we always say make the formula just before you want to feed, and whether baby finish it or not, trash it. Rinse the bottle, and that bottle goes back for sterilization. You don't reuse that bottle. See, these are the extra steps you have to take if you are bottle feeding, if you are formula feeding. Number one, you must sterilize your bottles properly. These days, you can microwave sterilize, steam sterilization, or you can use cold sterilization like melting. You put this in one tablet in 5 liters of water, and then what's the best option for you? You should have many bottles. So you can have like 8 bottles if your baby is going to eat 8 times a day. So in the night you wash all your bottles, you put all your bottles in your either the steam sterilizer or the cold sterilizer. So you tell whoever is helping you or yourself, when you want to make a meal, you take out the bottle so it is as clean and it's as sterilized as possible. You make the formula the way you need to make it, you mix it, and you feed the baby. Whatever is left, trash and wash the bottle and keep it for the next episode of sex. Don't use that bottle again. The next meal, you take a fresh bottle, and that's if you take some of this protocol, you at least you will be safer with your formula feeding. Is still better than reusing bottle, giving leftover formula. Those are the risks for diarrhea. And all this stress avoidable with exclusive breastfeeding because you don't have to do any bottle washing, bottle sterilization, and all that. Okay, I think we are running late. Shomi is saying my 8 weeks old baby vomits a lot. Vomit is different from reflux, which is bringing out a little bit of milk. So sometimes parents mix the two together. So I always want to ask, is your baby vomiting actively? Like when you feed your baby pass out everything forcefully and almost all the milk comes out. That is vomiting. Or is it that your baby will bring out a little bit of milk, effortlessly into what's it called? The babe and something like that. That is a reflux. So the second one, which is effortless, only a little bit of milk coming out, is natural because you see, baby's stomach, the space from the mouth to the stomach is very short. So milk can come back both ways. So that's why when you feed your baby, you keep them straight. You don't put them flat. The milk is going back, and that's why a little bit of it will come out. But if you keep them straight, the milk will, at least a little bit of it will be going through digestion and all that before you put them down. So it's better. So, but some of them will still bring out a little, but it's fine. As they get bigger and older, it becomes better. By the time they go on solids, then most reflux will go away. But if your baby is actively vomiting, forcefully vomiting, that is serious. That's not okay at all. That's a major problem. That baby needs to go back to the hospital to see a pediatrician. Vomiting is never normal. It is never normal for a baby to vomit. It's always a problem, and we need to know why, and we need to deal with it. So if your baby is vomiting a lot, you need to go to the hospital. If your baby is actually just having a little bit of reflux of milk, that is not vomiting, and that doesn't need hospital admission. Okay, I guess I've answered. Okay, the last one on Instagram, and I go back to Facebook. Shami say, can your baby finish, your 8 weeks old baby finish to struggle to finish 100 meals of breast milk? That's a lot. That's a lot for your 8 weeks old to finish 100 meals. Most of that should not take more than 60, 70 meals. So are you, why are you not breastfeeding directly? Why do you need to give through the bottle? That's the question I need to ask you. Maybe are you walking, going to, or you need help? So it's best if you just breastfeed your baby directly from the breast, because that way the baby can take what the baby wants and stop. And your likelihood of overfeeding the baby is less. But if you have to go to work or people are helping you out, you need to rest, it's fine, but you don't need to force baby to finish 100 meals. 100 meals a lot. So most of them will not take more than 60, 90 meals. And then, but they can take it like every 3 hours. in the day. So, for example, if your 8 weeks old is let's say your baby eight, you tell me the weight of your baby. Let's say your baby is 4 kilo or 5 kilos, for example. All your baby need to take in a day is 500 meals of food, 24 hours. All the 24 hours is 500 meals. So if we divide that 500 meals by eight, let's say 8 feet in a day. Eight, right? That's about 60 something. No, no, is it about is it what is it? No, I'm messing up my maths now. Yeah. Okay, yes, it's about 60 something. Yeah, 80 and 50 is 48. Yeah, so so it's about 60 something. So it's not even up to 70. So each meal should not be more than 70, 75 meals. So that's okay. So that is the total your baby needs to take in a day. But it's okay if baby take more if baby wants more, but you don't have to force the baby to take too much. Don't force the baby at all. Let the baby take what the baby wants. Babies always know what the amount they want. The most important thing is that your baby is gaining weight. So yeah. So you said when you feed baby directly, your baby is sleeping off. You are not attaching the baby to the breast properly. That's what that tells me. So your baby is able to almost take 100 meals when you feed directly, but when your baby goes on the bread, your baby cannot even last long. That means your lack attachment of the baby to the breast is where the issue is. So you need to make sure your baby is not sucking on the nipple. Your baby needs to suck on the areola. So if you watch out, if you you may need to go to our Facebook group and look at the video of our breastfeeding week. And a nurse was on the group and she demonstrates how you need to breastfeed, how you need to put what should be in the mouth of the baby is not the nipple. That's what most mothers tend to do, which is wrong. Is a black part beyond that nipple that the baby really needs to suck on. So sometimes baby are sucking on the nipple, they get frustrated and some will cry, some will just give up and all that. So what you need to do is make sure you are attaching the baby well to the breast. Make sure almost all of your areola, the black part beyond the nipple, is in the mouth of the baby because that is where the milk are stored. That's where the milk sinuses are. So when babies suck on that, the milk just go, like a tap, gushes out into their mouth. But when they're sucking on the nipple, it's frustrating. No milk is coming out. Baby is tired. It's a lot of work to suck. So baby is tired, and baby will give up. Unless baby also has health issues. Like for example, babies that have some other medical issues may struggle, like preterm babies and other may struggle. So those are the things that you need to take note of. So I hope that is helpful. Um, Okay, final question. My baby is 4.5 at birth, but at 12 months it's 9 kilos. That's not too good. Ideally, the weight itself is not so bad because usually most babies weigh 10 kilos at 1 year. But your baby was a very big baby at birth, was 4.5 at birth. Now it's just doubled his weight at 1 year. Your baby should be tripling the weight at 1 year. So I don't know what went wrong in between, but something must have gone wrong. So you may need to see a pediatrician. But I'm not really worried about the weight now, but subsequently to make sure your baby does not keep losing weight because your baby should be weighing more than 10 kilos now because your baby started very big. So why is baby now so small? So that's the question we need to answer. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let me go back to to Facebook now. So Felicia, where did we stop now?
Yes, ma. So a mother Oluwa told me sing. She wants to know what she can use for cough. She had a 1 month old baby.
You can't use anything for cough. You don't even for a 1 month old, don't give anything. Just leave the baby alone, breastfeed
Yes, she
only.
wants to know what she can use.
Okay, for herself. Sorry, I'm not your doctor. You need to see your own doctor for your own cough. I don't treat adults. Actually, but basically, but please let your doctor know that you are breastfeeding, and because so that whatever drug they are giving you is compatible with breastfeeding. But meanwhile, you can cover yourself, your nose with face masks when you're breastfeeding, so you don't transfer the cough to our baby. That's the most important thing. But please see your own doctor for your own treatment. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Oh, there are not so many questions on Facebook anyway, so that's fine. We're
Yes.
almost running off.
Can I go on, ma?
Yes, please.
Yes, Uzoma says that her son always scratches his leg, and she noticed a tiny boy-like things around his heels as a result of the itching. He itches mostly at night. He's 2 years 5 months. What should she do? He also has a fever, and she has been giving him paracetamol syrup since yesterday. But he's not eating well, and he's regular. Is himself is
So you
active.
say he's eating well and it's regular, yeah. So what you describe sounds to me like maybe something allergic, I don't know if it's your child is when somebody is always itching, any rashes with itching, you have to think allergic condition. So you need to, especially if it is itching at night. Then the question is, what happens at night? Why is it always itching at night? Is there something that you get exposed to at night that makes the baby to itch a lot? So those are the things that you really need to deal with. So, and then the fever is having, I don't know why it's having fever, but this just started yesterday. You can just watch it. If it persists more than 24 hours, then you may need to take him to the hospital. But if he's just having fever, you can just watch. If it goes down with paracetamol and it doesn't persist more than 24 hours, there's no need to worry. But if it persists, then you need to see the doctors. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, ma. The next question is from Abimbola. She says, "Good evening, doctor. At what age can we conclude a child is having a speech delay?"
Yeah, so speech delay, if so I always say go I always use the rule of the thumb. A 1 year old should have at least one single word, so one word. A 2 year old should be combining two words together. So mommy go, mommy biscuits, that kind of a thing. A 3 year old should be speaking sentences, should be combining three words like I want water, I want biscuits, those kind of things. So, and a 4 year old should be speaking like an adult. So, when a 4 year old speaks, everybody should understand what a 4 year old is saying. A complete stranger should understand what a 4 year old is saying. So, if your 2 year old is not yet talking at all, or not yet combining words, you need to see a speech therapist. If your 3, 4 year olds are not speaking sentences, you need to see a speech therapist. If you go to our Facebook group, if you go to the guide section, guide 9, we have a lot of speech milestones there. So what to expect as 1 year, what to expect as 2 years, what to expect. So we have it there. So you can go through it and you can decide whether your child is delayed or not. And then there's also advice on what to do. But what I've given you now is just like a rule of the thumb that's so easy to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a 1 year old should be saying single words and should have at least 1 to 3 words. So maybe mommy, daddy, one word. And a 2 year old should be combining two words together, mommy, go, or things like that. A 3 year old should be combining three words together. A 4 year old should be speaking like an adult, like you and I. So those are the things you
Okay.
can just do. Yeah.
Yes. The next question, ma'am. My baby of a month old has boil on his head and also has a peg. We are on exclusive breast. Okay, they are on EBF, and she's asking if she can give him ampiclox drop.
No, no, you can't just give antibiotics. So better see a doctor. Please don't use antibiotics without prescription. And it's a very bad habit for us, especially those of us who are from Nigeria. In other countries, you can't buy antibiotics when a doctor has not written it. It doesn't matter. A doctor has to prescribe antibiotics. It is not over the counter. So I get worried when mothers just talk about using antibiotics as if they are talking about using paracetamol. It's a very wrong practice. There's actually what we call antibiotic resistance. Antibiotics resistance means that when you use antibiotics not at the right time, not properly, you are putting your child at risk of when the child now need that particular antibiotics, it's not going to work because the body or the child or the bacteria or the germ, whatever, has developed what we call resistance. And it's a very scary thing because we are not having more new antibiotics. So we have only very limited antibiotics. So which means that if we try this, it doesn't work. If we try that, it doesn't work, that's the end. It can lead to death. I'm serious about it, and I've seen this happen before. That some people don't know antibiotics will work for them, and so some of these antibiotics that we use, when we're supposed to use them, but you see mothers using Xanax, use these are very strong antibiotics that even when you come to me as a doctor, for example, that's not the first antibiotics I'm going to prescribe for you. I'm not going to prescribe augmentin. I'm not going to prescribe Zena. They are like antibiotics that you reserve for very severe infection. But you see mothers just going and buying it anyhow and using it. Which means that when your child now needs Zena, Zena will not work. Then we have to look for something stronger. And sometimes there may be nothing else again. So please don't abuse antibiotics. Don't use antibiotics unnecessarily. Let every antibiotic you use be prescribed by a doctor. So if your baby has boil, please see a doctor. Your doctor may still prescribe ampiclox. That's not the issue. The issue is what quantity of ampiclox are you going to use? How long should you use the ampiclox for? Because those are the information that only a doctor can give you. For example, if I want to give your baby ampiclox, I need to know the weight of your baby. Then I need to tell you use it for 7 days or 10 days. Most mothers will just use it for 2 days. The boil has gone. That's the end. That is not how to use antibiotics. Next time I give you ampiclox, it's not going to work. So please, you don't just use medications. The fact that we have access to them, which I feel we should not have access to them, is why we do this, but it's wrong. Please don't. So see the doctors and let them tell you what to do. For the hives, you can just clean it with water and a clean cloth. If the discharge persists, that's what you mean by a queen. If the discharge from the eyes continue, you also need to see a doctor so that they can prescribe appropriate high drop for you. And you don't, when I say see a doctor, it doesn't have to be you have to see a pediatrician. You can go to your health center if they have doctors. You can go to your general hospital. They still have, you know, general doctors. They can do this kind of things. Everything is not pediatrician. So, but the most important thing is that a doctor knows what they are doing when they are writing these things for you. Please, it's for our own benefit if we do the right thing. All right, our time is gone. We'll just take
Yes.
the last set of question on Facebook and then we'll close it for
She
today.
says, my baby of 2 years stomach is always big, and the doctor said nothing is wrong with her, but I'm worried. Please, what can I do?
Don't worry. That's it. Don't worry. If a doctor has seen your baby and doctor said don't worry, but you are still worried, then I will just say don't worry because that's all that you need to do. Because if there's something wrong, the doctor would have told you. Unless you don't trust the doctor's assessment, then you can go for a second opinion. Maybe see a second doctor. If the second doctor also tell you the same thing, then it means you are the one that needs to relax. So, but you can see a pediatrician for a second opinion, but otherwise, most 2-year-old tend to have this big tummy. It's just the shape of their back. I don't want to go into the jargons. So we call it, they call what we call protuberance abdomen. There's nothing in their tummy, it's just the shape, the way the curvature of the back is. So it tends to give them that big tummy. But as they get older and then they begin to adopt the adult spinal cord shape, the tummy goes down. But if you are worried, just see a second, get a second opinion, and then that's it. All right,
Okay.
let's move on.
Yes. So Akomolafe says, good evening, doctor. My baby will be
Oh, I
okay.
think you
Before
are
Akomolafe, yes, sorry. My baby is 6 weeks plus, and her belly button still haven't healed up.
what do you mean? As it dropped, as the cord dropped? If the cord has dropped, then just keep cleaning it with the methylated spirits every 4 hours and make sure you expose it to hair. Please don't apply any other thing. Don't put hot water. Don't put dry lantern heat. Don't put what else do people put? Cow dung, powder, methylatum, close up. Don't put nothing on it. Just leave it exposed. And maybe see, maybe 6 weeks you should have gone for immunization. And when you went for immunization, did you see a doctor? Did you tell them about it? Because at least they would have looked at it and give you advice. You can post a picture of it on our Facebook group, unless there's an infection, because some people have infection of that cord. And if they have infection, that has to be treated, for example, with antibiotics. So I don't know the situation, but I believe that if you are maybe 6 weeks old, you must have gone for immunization or about to go for immunization. So the best person to ask is the doctors when you go for your immunization. All right, let's move on.
Okay. Akomolafe now says that my baby will be 6 weeks on Thursday, but the appointment given to us for a 6 weeks immunization is tomorrow. My
Which is
question is,
okay.
should
Okay, I got your question. So sorry to cut to Felicia, but this is a straightforward one. It's okay. 2 days is not going to make a lot of difference between your baby is going to be 6 weeks. So how did you count your own 6 weeks? Are you counting it by 7 days? Because you didn't tell us the exact days. Because sometimes we count in days as well. So like 28 days is actually 1 month. But most time when you count your 28, you are using 31 days to count your 6 weeks, to count your 1 month. So that's another thing. And number two, most hospitals do, they have days for immunization. So they will give you the days closest to your immunization day. So if your baby is going to be 6 weeks on a Thursday, and the immunization day is only on Tuesday, there's not much difference between that 48 hours. But if you are not comfortable, you can wait until the next week, Tuesday, to go for it. That's okay. No problem at all. But I don't think that is an issue. It's an issue, for example, if your baby is just 5 weeks old and they're asking you to come for immunization for 6 weeks at 5 weeks. And 1 week is a lot of time, but 1 or 2 days difference is nothing to panic. But if you're worried, you can do it next week. That's also fine. But I don't think there's any reason to worry.
Right.
Okay.
So the final question.
Oh,
We
sorry, I forgot this.
Yes. Can a 9-month-old baby take beverages like Milo and also eat cheese balls?
No, 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 no. This is how mothers will start junk food. Oh. You are the one introducing junk food, cheese balls. So don't give them all those things. Give them fruits, give them healthy snacks. And Milo and beverages are from 1 year. The only beverage a baby should take below 1 year is just water and milk. That's all. The only beverage they are supposed to take below 1 year is water and milk. Most of those cocoa drinks are just loads of sugar and a little bit of cocoa powder. Please avoid them. All right. Okay. Somebody is saying I posted a picture on Facebook. Blah, blah. Okay. I
Yes.
guess we will answer it when we see it on Facebook.
Okay.
Another question. Yeah.
When a baby is crying at midnight and is turning his stomach upside down, what can I suspect or can I do?
How old is your baby? Always tell us the age of your baby. Always tell us the age of your baby, because you've not told us the age of your baby now. It's difficult for us to know what is making your baby to cry at midnight, what is turning the stomach. Are you saying your baby has colic and all that? I don't know. Because you didn't tell us the age of your baby. It's difficult to say what it is. So I don't want to assume. I always try to avoid assumptions because I don't want to be spending all my time talking about colic, only discover that your baby is a 1 year old who doesn't have colic. So it's just a waste of time and resources. So you have to ask a very specific question to get a very specific answer. All right, thank you so much, everybody. If you still have questions because our time is done, please go to our Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. You can ask all your child health questions on our Facebook group from Mondays to Saturdays. 24 hours. We rest on Sundays. If you have your adult health questions, you can post it on our ATP Family Facebook group. Also, Mondays to Saturdays, 24 hours every day. If you are a mother, because we just started a new group, if you're a mom who has suffered pregnancy loss or the loss of a child, and you want some support, because I get a lot of questions like that, and I know many people are struggling. So we've created a new group for you called ATP Still a Mom, and you can join that group. We're going to give you like psychological support and all that support. So it's a new group. It's brand new, like less than 24 hours old, and but it's a group for mothers who have suffered losses, either pregnancy, miscarriages, or deaths of a newborn, and you want some support. It's a very sensitive group, so if you come to the group, you have to be very sensitive to people who are grieving. So it's a group only for that category, unless you're a professional who is coming to help us. So if you are not in that category, we don't want you to come in. But if you are in a category who has suffered losses, it doesn't have to be recent, it will be in the past, you are welcome. And if you're a professional psychologist, psychiatrist, gynecologist, anybody, mental health professionals, you want to support us, you're also welcome to join the group as well. So thank you so much, and thank you, Felicia, for joining me.
Yes.
Despite initial difficulties with your technology, but at least we managed to overcome it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week for another fresh episode of ATP Live. Uh, Thank you so much, and bye. All right, bye.
Bye.